Joining us now for more on this is Republican Senator Pete Ricketts of Nebraska. He sits on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, thank you so much for coming in. Why did it get so contentious in that briefing last night? What's going on here from your perspective?
Well, I think one of the things, of course, these are very high stakes negotiations, and so there's a lot on the line here. So I think temperatures are rising. I think we have to remain calm and cool. You know, at the end of the day, it's divided government, which means there has to be a negotiation here. And frankly, we've been talking about this since September. The president put it in his supplemental package, so he brought the border in here. The speaker's been very clear about what he needs to see with regard to the border. We've got to have some policy changes. That's what we as Republicans in the Senate want to see. So this negotiation just has to get on to be able to move forward on the supplemental package.
It sounds like this vote's going to fail today, as Lauren Fox is kind of laying it out. McConnell has said that should send a loud message to Democrats of how serious you all are about the border and having it be included as part of this negotiation. What message does it send to Ukraine if this vote fails today?
Well, one of the things that I tell all of our allies that are democracies, at least, is they know that democracies are messy, that it takes time. You know, as Winston Churchill said, it's the worst form of government except for all the other ones. And so this is just part of the process. So we've got to be able to continue to negotiate. Frankly, I don't know how Leader Schumer expects anybody to vote for the supplemental when we haven't even seen a text. Well, we're not just going to vote on something we don't know what we're voting on. That's just crazy. That's not going to fly. But hopefully it does send the message to Democrats that we have divided government. There's going to have to be a negotiation, that this is important for everybody. There's broad agreement on support for Ukraine, Israel, Indo-Pacific. We've got to get something on the border. The president put it in his package. So we just need to sit down and get the negotiation underway.
That's why this, I think, makes people scratch their heads. If this kind of broadly is an area where everyone agrees to support Israel, to support Ukraine, more funding for the border, why is it devolving into shouting matches? I mean, I look back and you've been consistent in your message on support for Ukraine. In September, after meeting with Ukraine's president, you put out a message saying, if Vladimir Putin succeeds in his brutal war in Ukraine, NATO allies like Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland could be next, and American lives would be at stake. If that's the stakes here, why not take these issues that you believe all relate to U.S. national security separately if it is so important and such a priority, so that one doesn't get held up by the other?
Actually, Kate, back in September, I said the exact same thing. Let's take these things up separately, and we can vote on them independently if we want. But that's not the way the president has chosen to do this. He's wrapped this all up into one package. And frankly, back in September, I believe Leader Schumer was in the same place. What needs to happen here is the president needs to get on and engage directly with this negotiation. Leader Schumer needs to get on this. This is
Do you think that
really
will actually
on
shake this up?
up.
If the president gets involved, do you think that's going to increase chances you guys reach agreement?
There's going to have to be an agreement on the southern border. The president has made this an issue when he put in his supplemental. So he is going to have to get involved here to make sure that the policy changes that Republican wants are part of this overall package for this to move forward. So it is going to be up to the president to get involved and get this negotiated.
Senator, your party's leader, Donald Trump, he talked about and weighed in on the border crisis himself just last night. Let me play this for you just to remind you what he said.
Under no circumstances, you are promising America tonight you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
for?
he's going crazy. Except for day one. I want to close the border, and I want to drill.
That's
drill,
not.
drill.
That's not.
No, no.
That's not retribution.
I'm going to be. You know, he keeps. We love this guy. He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, "No, no, no. Other than day one, we're closing the border, and we're drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator." Okay?
A dictator on day one to close the border. After that, he says he won't be a dictator. Does that concern you, hearing him talk like that?
Well, Donald Trump's a candidate, but I can tell you what he's reflecting is the fact, and I hear it in my office every day, is that people are very concerned about the southern border. Look, if you want us to get involved with how we're helping out other countries, a lot of Americans are saying you've got to do our country right first. We know that, for example, on Sunday and Monday, 10,000 people came across that border.
Yeah.
CBP can only process so many, so they're getting released into this country.
No,
We have
I mean,
had
Alejandro
more people on the
Mayorkas was
terrorist
just
watch list
talking,
than
was
last
just
year.
on CNN this morning talking about how it is, clearly it is an issue at the border, but hearing Donald Trump talk about being a dictator, do you take him seriously?
He's reflecting what Americans are concerned about with regard to we got to close the southern border. Candidates are going to say what they want to say, but I will tell you right now, it is a real issue with the American people, and especially in my state. They're concerned about the drugs coming across. They're concerned about the people on the terrorist watch list. We have got to do something on the southern border. It's going to involve policy changes. When I was down, I've been on the border 4 times. And the last time I was down there, CBP was very clear. They need policy changes. And that's what we're asking for as Republicans to get the supplemental passed.
Senator Pete Ricketts, thank you for your time.